and welcome to Kankakee Podcast, where we talk about the people and places of Kankakee County. I'm Jake Lamore, and this is the first time that we've ever sat down with a realtor in Kankakee County, and it is none other than Lisa Sanford. Welcome to
Thank
the
you,
podcast.
Jake.
And now, Lisa, I've heard and seen your name everywhere, probably since I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like most people have at this point as well. And it's probably not just because of you, but it's a family business, sort of, because isn't your husband involved in the business in some capacity too?
He's not involved in my business. He has his rental business. So you may have seen Sanford Systems on his vehicle, and he has license plate. It used to be Rent Now. Now his license plate is Lease It. So he's all about renting and leasing properties.
Yeah.
So I help him a wee bit. He helps me a wee bit just for ideas here and there. But basically, real estate is, sales, helping buyers and sellers is all me.
That's all you. Yeah. Well, welcome.
Thank you,
and
Jake.
thank you for doing this.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So I've heard that you're originally from Chicago?
Park Ridge.
Okay.
I grew up right by O'Hare. We'd be outside on the patio and the airplanes would be going over and we just have to stop our conversation until they were done. And that was just normal. That's how we did it.
That's how life was.
Yeah.
Wow. So for you then, was your family originally from that area?
Yeah.
Or
my mom and dad were Chicago West Side. They got married. They moved to Milwaukee for a couple of years, but I was born and lived in Park Ridge my whole life. So until I went away to college at University of Illinois in Champaign. And then after that, I lived in Des Plaines for a year or two and then moved down to Bourbonnais in 1983. And I got my real estate license in 1984. And then I've been helping people with that ever since.
Wow. You've seen, oh my gosh, you've seen so much.
Yeah.
What brought you to Kankakee County then?
So my husband at the time, we opened up the Edward Jones office. It used to be called Edward D. Jones office. Tom Vaccaro is in that now. We could live anywhere in the state of Illinois, and he was from Decatur and I was Park Ridge. So we just decided to be kind of halfway in between. And when we moved here, we had the stickers that said, last one to leave, turn out the lights. So Roper had left, A.O. Smith was leaving, unemployment was high, interest rates in the 80s were through the roof. So
I was just telling that to Andrew before we got on, and I was trying to remember, he was saying, he made a comment when houses were affordable. And I said, well, if I'm not mistaken, in the 1980s, what interest rates were like 15% or more?
Yeah, it was
right?
16 and a half when I bought my first home in November of 84 for fixed rate. So I did an adjustable rate mortgage at 11.9. That was my first home. So yeah. And then I paid $82,000 for a home, and that same home today is probably worth about $230,000.
Wow.
Probably.
See, I guess that's the difference. You had a super high interest rate, but the overall sale price or the price tag of a home was much lower.
Yeah.
Right. But everyone was making less,
That's right. It just is what it is. You can't get hung up on that. If you need a place to live, then I'm happy to help you.
Right. Yeah. No, it's just crazy to think about all the fluctuations and just all the different pieces from wages to interest rates to the prices of homes and just everything in between.
Right.
So your husband worked in the Edward Jones. Yeah. Or he was working for Edward Jones at the time.
Yeah. Okay. Then we got divorced, and then my husband now and I met in 1997. He was from California. His name is Walter Sanford, and he was from California, and I was his hostess when he came to the Illinois State Association convention. And so we met there, and Well, his first question to me was, what do you do when you come to these things without your husband? And what does he think? What does he think when you come to these things without him? And I said, I'm not married.
That was a very clever way of him to ask that question. Very clever. Instead of just asking, so are you married?
Right.
Do you have a boyfriend?
Right.
I like that. I like that. That's very good.
So, yeah, then it took off from there. We got married in 1999. He moved here from California because he was a real estate trainer. So that's why it's sort of in the business, because he is a trainer. So he speaks at huge conventions, used to. Now he's retired from that. He's 100% rental, helping people with the rentals. But he used to speak at Century 21 conventions, National Association of Realtors, the Illinois Association of Realtors conventions. So he thought it would make sense to live in the central of the United States for flying purposes instead of all the way on the West Coast. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you just kind of helped seal that deal.
Yeah. It worked out well.
That's cute. So why, you settle here in 83.
Mm-hmm.
How did you end up choosing real estate?
So I was interviewing for a middle management position. I was working in Chicago at the time for John Sexton, which is a national food distributor. They would sell product to restaurants and hospitals and schools and blah, blah.
I've definitely heard that name. Are they still around?
Red and white label.
Yeah.
It was the Sexton label. So you'd see it on the sugar packets. But anyway, I was in the corporate office. So I was helping the branches make sure that their inventory was right. And I would go to branches sometimes and make a little presentation from the corporate and that kind of thing. But commuting was an hour and 50 minutes each way. No one talked on the train. I learned then that I was a people person and I missed people. They would just have their newspapers at the time. Now it wouldn't be newspapers, but they would have their newspapers up and
magazines.
And then I would just fall asleep, and it was not good. So Arlen Speckman is who I met that helped us actually find our rental place. And he gave me some names of places that I could interview, and it was not going the way, I just wasn't finding whatever I was looking for. So he said, why don't you consider selling real estate? And I said, well, I took the class at University of Illinois, but I never took the exam. He said, you did? You already took the class? Let's talk Saturday. So I went in on that Saturday and we talked for about 3 hours. And I said, why do you think that I would be a good real estate agent? I've never sold anything in my life. I've never bought a home at the time. I didn't buy a home yet. And he said, your dad is in sales, your sister's in sales, you love people, you're a great listener. And I think that you've learned more at the dining room table than most people have at all. So, and my dad was an entrepreneur. He had his own business, and I did learn a ton from my dad in business.
What was his business? So
he was in welding supply business. He sold Harris equipment. His company was Harris Calorific. On the west side of Chicago on Lawrence Avenue. And he worked hard, he played hard, ethical, trustworthy, fun, Irish humor, good guy. Loved my dad.
So you grew up watching him sell his business, sell his business to other people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's somewhat. I mean, just not that I was in his business that much, but just at parties, how he was and the questions that he would ask, Jake, and then if I went on an interview, he would ask me, where did they go to school? I don't know. You need to ask questions. Okay. So I learned, and now I get teased by how many questions I ask or whatever, because that's who I am.
It's good to ask questions.
Yeah.
Well, and especially in your business.
Definitely.
You have to know all these things.
Yeah.
From how old is the furnace? And,
Right.
especially that's.
Yeah. Well, how can I help you?
Or right.
So if you called me and said you needed help in real estate, selling or buying, why? What's up?
Yeah.
What's up? Tell me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be an order taker.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go see that house. Yeah. Great. Why? What do you need?
Yeah.
In order for me to be able to help you, I need to know something about you.
Yeah.
And that I learned way early on. When I got in the business, I was thinking, how can I get renewal business like insurance guys get renewal business? So how do I do that? I don't know. I need a mentor. I need to be asking top real estate agents how they do their business. I don't want to do it locally because they're my competition. We're friendly competition, but we're still competition. So I went to our national association. At the time, we were part of Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate. Now we're Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Beckman Realty. At the time, we were Better Homes and Gardens. So I went to the top agent of all of Better Homes and Gardens, Phyllis Waborski, lived in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I called her up and I said, "Hi, Phyllis, this is Lisa." At the time, a different last name. And I said, "I wanted to know if you're going to go to the convention in November because I would love to have 10 minutes to just pick your brain in person." And she said, "Darling, I don't know. That's 2 months away. I don't know what's going on yet." I said, "Well, Phyllis, this is like part of my budget. I have to decide if I'm going to spend the money to go there. And the only way I want to go there is if I can meet with you." So she said, "You call me in 3 weeks." That was her first test to me to see if I would call her. I did call her at the time that she asked me to call her. And I said, "Are you going to go?" She said, "You just passed the first test, darling. You bet I'll be there. Let's meet in the lobby at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, November, whatever."
That's quite some courage to call her up.
Yeah, well,
on your
no,
part.
That was nothing as far as I'm concerned.
I don't know. I mean, that's a big deal. You're calling the top agent in this nationwide or global company.
Yeah, she was, and she was great. We met in the lobby, and I said, "So Phyllis, how do you do it?" She said, "No, darling. For me to be able to help you, I need to know something about you. Tell me about you." And that was my boom. That's exactly how it is for what I use today. How can I help you? What's your story? How can I help you?
That's great. And I feel like that's universal too. I'm glad you brought that up because I was thinking about, I was having a meeting the other day with one of our other podcasts we produce here at Pathfinder. And that was the first, they wanted to hear what I had to say about their show, and get my input on what I thought of it. And I said, well, first I want to know what you like and what you don't like about your show.
That's right.
That's how I started. So I wanted to hear what their thoughts were first.
That's right. That's right.
And that's
what page are we on?
Yeah. Where are we?
Where are we?
Yeah.
Where are we?
And that way I can, give you
that's right.
The right, hopefully helpful information that you're looking for. So that's great.
Yeah.
So what else did you learn from her? Or what do you remember from that? Was that the very first convention that you went to then?
No, I had gone to other local ones, but not nationally. So that was my first one nationally. So that was good. What I learned from her is I wanted to know numbers. So from the first time that I got in the business, we're self-employed. And so, okay, you've heard $1 million sales people before. What does that mean? How much money do I actually put in my pocket? And what do I have to pay for as a self-employed person? So I wanted to know some of her numbers, and I was floored at how much she spent on advertising that she had to do, percentage of her sales. And I thought, okay, so you are a $32 million producer, but you're spending that much on marketing, on advertising. So how much are you really putting in your pocket? And she was helpful. She was open to me, which is really great. It's not typical that you would sit down and I would say, "Hey, Jake, how much money do you make? How much does actually go in your pocket?" Yeah. That's one of those questions you just don't ask. But because we were in completely different markets, I was not a threat to her. I was beginning agent, just fresh. So she was open. And I think that's what that I learned a lot. So I wanted to know my numbers from the beginning. So I always had a spreadsheet going, how much did I earn, but how much did I really earn? How much is Uncle Sam getting out of that part?
Right.
So what's really going in my pocket? And because we have to pay taxes on a quarterly basis, they're not taken out of our check. I wanted to make sure that I budgeted for that. So I started it out like a business.
Yeah.
Always.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So from that point on, then I guess we sort of painted the picture of what real estate was like in the 80s a little bit, but maybe kind of take that a step further on what it was really like for you or what you remember. And I didn't realize you've been with Speckman this whole time.
The whole time.
Then.
Yeah.
Of course, a lot of changes have happened since then at Speckman, though.
We're a family. It's still family owned. So Peter Grant bought it from Arlen Speckman in 2006, like the day before the market went down.
Oh my gosh.
Arlen Speckman's timing for selling was really incredible.
Yeah, you're telling me.
Yeah. So we had 7 people when I first started, and then we grew up to, 70 some people. And now because we work so much out of our home, I'm not sure. We've got about 40 agents, I believe it is, something like that. Maybe 35, something like that. But what did I see? So a lot of changes in technology have changed our business dramatically. We used to get multiple listing books. There was no internet for searching for homes. So we would see, the books would come once a month, and then they brought it down to once every other week. And we'd be able to tell what the market was like by how thick the multiple listing book was. So here's the market. It was like how many inches thick
you don't
is
even
the
have
book?
to open it up. You're like, oh, there's a lot on the market right now. And then you get to see it's thin.
We'd sit next to a buyer and show them the book. And it was like, that was our precious book. We held on to all the inventory. You had no clue what was out there. And then I would write down which addresses that they would want to see. Then I'd have to call each agent, wait for them to call me back, schedule 7 homes. But then the agent might have been out busy, and so that we couldn't make their time, so we'd have to reschedule. It was so hard. Then going to pick up all the keys because there was no lock boxes.
Yeah.
And then we're driving by someplace and they'd say, well, how much is that house? Well, I don't know. It's not in the book. And so then I'd have to go to a payphone to call the agent to find out how much it is and can we get in right now. So totally different than on your phone.
A lot more legwork.
A lot more legwork. So
yeah,
that
I
was
know.
the
I was thinking about when I bought my house in 2019. It was just a matter of opening your phone and then seeing what was available, and then sometimes you would be looking at a house and be like, okay, where should we go next? And you just look, okay, let's scroll through the phone, and then how about this one? Yeah, that's fine. I can get in there. Yeah, that's no problem. Yeah. It's not
exactly.
It's like it's just amazing how all of that has changed. Do you feel like was it a lot more competitive mindset between yourself and other realtors from different companies and different real estate agencies? Do you think at that time compared to now, has that really
interesting?
Has that changed, or do you feel?
I don't see it.
No.
I don't see it. So George Nofke was one of the 7 of us that started, and he said, "Here's an advice that I want to give to you. You're eager. You want to learn. You want to do well." I said, "Yeah, absolutely." He said, "Don't talk about other people. Don't talk about losing a sale. You start pointing the finger that it's their fault. They're that. You start pointing the finger and you got 4 of them back at you. Look at yourself. What could I have done differently to earn their trust, to earn their sale, to help in that situation in any way?" Great advice. Great advice. So I don't know if there was. I've always treated the multiple listings, so to speak. So yes, I work with Speckman Realty, and we work with people at Coldwell Banker and Macaulay and out-of-town agents now more than ever because of the internet. So we're working with Chicago agents, Champaign agents. Our multiple listing goes all the way up to the Wisconsin border. So I'm working with people that they are to help sell all the sellers that I'm working with. So they're part of my team. I've never treated that anything differently. Whether the competition has changed, different names, but the idea, it's always been the same. They're on my team to help sell as many homes as I can sell. They're on my team to help if I've got the buyer and they're working with the seller. We both want to get it done for each other.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting, because you don't see that in other,
other agents
sectors.
Don't have the same.
No, sectors
just
of
different
business.
jobs.
Yeah,
Okay.
different jobs. This is so unique because we are part of this multiple listing. So we're all in it together in a way.
I think we often forget that in the real estate world, or even just in business in general, that there's a lot of times you are working with the person you're competing with. And if you
still have the same goal.
Right. And you have the same goal. And you never know one day when you will actually be working in the same company, or in the case of, you're selling someone's house, but you also have to work with the realtor that they're buying a house from, that realtor,
Right.
and so you got to have, and if you have a sour relationship, well, that's not going to go very well.
No, exactly.
So,
No.
moving, I guess, from, the time you started, you kind of found your mentor. Did you keep in touch with her for years to come then?
For many years, probably 7 years we did. She was older, of course. She was a veteran. And so she had a huge team of agents that sold with her. And so, yeah, we did. But then I would just pick up other ones. One of the goals that my husband and I always do every New Year's is the 6 F's. So in the 6 F's, how are you going to improve in faith, family, friends, finances, fitness, and fun? So we just do these categories. And so within many of them in business, I've always wanted to have mentors in different areas, not just real estate. So like Dr. John Bowling with Olivet was my speaking mentor. I would meet with him. He didn't know me. I've got this big speech to do. Do you mind if I pick your brain? I was 25 years old at the time, and he had just come in maybe a year prior, and he didn't know my name. He didn't know anything. I was young, and he said, "Sure, come on in." And we became friends ever since he retired. Now that he's retired, I haven't stayed in contact with him, but we would see, and he just had such respect for me, and I absolutely had huge respect for him. But so speaking mentor, my spiritual mentor, my pastor's wife, love her to pieces, Delinda Asher. So I have just different people. My mom, for the most grateful mentor that there ever is on the face of the planet. Oh, it's a bad hair day. Oh no, God, thank you for my hair. I'm really appreciative of my hair. That's how my mom is.
That's cute.
So I like to grow as a person. I mean, my whole goal, why I got into real estate, Arlen Speckman gave me encouragement through that talk that we had for the 3 hours when he thought that I would be good. But more than that, it was, I love people. And I learned that through my travels to Chicago and not being able to talk to people. I felt like I was in jail in that commute. And so I thought, what a great way to get to know a lot of different kinds of people that I would typically not have my circles of friends be around. Would I really run into you, Jake? I haven't yet.
No, this is the first time.
And now my career has afforded me the opportunity to see how a person makes a buck. They sell this one little piece that I didn't even know existed, and they make a good earning out of it. Yeah. That intrigues me, probably from my dad and his love for business, and just how people tick. Different ages, different backgrounds, the diversity that it allows me, that I just love. can I share another?
No, please.
Trajectory.
No, yeah, please.
So in my faith story, I was raised Catholic, and then my husband really wasn't raised anything. And he started going with me to Catholic when we got married, to Mass and all that. And then his assistant asked us to go to Grace Baptist Church for a family day. We went. It was a game day and nice little message, but mostly just fun stuff. And my husband said, I think I want to go back next week to see what a real service looks like. We went back the following week, and he said, wow, that's the truth. That's where I feel God is leading us to be. I'm not going to go back to Mass anymore. So I was going to both for a while. Then I thought, okay, this really is why am I doing this other? I'm just going to go to Grace. So we went to Grace. Then I started thinking, does God have me where he wants me? Is this really where I should be? I'm learning there's a purpose. God gives us a purpose. And then I read The Prayer of Jabez by Bruce Wilkinson. And he talked about the Prayer of Jabez is in 1 Chronicles 4, verses 9 and 10. And it's, Lord, bless me, keep me from harm, enlarge my territory, keep your hand upon me. And he goes through this tiny little book. I got it just because it was take one book when I was at the county health department with my kids getting tetanus shots. That's how I learned the book. I just, it's the smallest book. I'm a people person. I'm not that much of a reader.
Right. Yeah.
So I picked that up and it really grabbed me. So I thought, okay, this is where you really want me to be because you want me to enlarge your territory. Why do you think, this whole plan, the pieces of the puzzle just seem to have fit together just perfectly? Because, again, I would never be in a circle to talk to you, but I want to give help to people that want help. I want to provide the peace of the Holy Spirit through sometimes the most trying times that people could go through for especially the sale of a home, but sometimes the buying of a home is very anxious-ridden times for people. You remember? It seems like yesterday, right?
It does seem like, and it really, I've only been a homeowner for 4 years.
Yeah.
So, I still feel new to the whole thing, but there were definitely some very stressful.
Yeah.
And it does floods back to my brain for sure.
Yeah.
So
that's my whole goal now. It's a whole different goal. I want to honor. I've always wanted to honor God with everything that I do, in all my work. I want to, serve Him.
Yeah,
first,
and that's the 6 F's you said is what?
6 F's are what we do for the goals. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
I love that.
Walter came up with that for me. I don't know how he ever did it, but I've got a beautiful goal book.
Yeah.
Beautiful goal book. So every single year I've got categories of faith, family, friends.
I need to sit down and work on those F's myself.
Yeah. It keeps you in balance.
Yeah, it sounds
keeps you
like
in balance.
it.
So there's one major, goal, and then you just want to make sure that each one of your 6 does not contradict what your major goal is.
That's true.
So
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's fun.
You've been in real estate for so long now. You have to have some interesting stories to share of whether it was buying or selling or anything in between that has happened to you, or some of the houses that you've seen over the years. There has to be stories that stick out in your mind. Because do you even know how many homes you've sold at this point? Have you kept track?
I don't know, but 39 years this November will be, this coming up November will be 40 years. Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. So one was kind of fun because Limestone to Bourbonnais to another home in Bourbonnais, we had 3 buyers and 3 sellers. And they all 3 transferred houses. A bought B, B bought C, C bought A. So each one had to sell before they could buy.
It was just like a little triangle.
It was a triangle
going on.
going on. So we worked with the same title company to say each one has to buy in order to sell. But how do we make this work? And
I am already so confused thinking about how all that must have worked.
Yeah. So some were going up, and then the last one was downsizing.
Oh.
So it just worked out.
They're going back to where they started.
It was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was very fun.
And that's probably only happened to you, what?
That was only once. That was only once. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty rare.
That was only once.
Yeah.
So it's, and then Jesse and Logan right here at Pathfinder, they had an interesting story. Do you know their story? Yeah.
Was that you were part of that? So from what I understand, Jesse moved into Logan's house, and then Logan moved into the house next door.
Yeah. So
now they live next to each other.
Now they live next to each other.
And their offices are right next to each other.
Offices, oof.
They just can't.
That's a lot.
They can't get away from each other.
Yeah, that's a lot.
They were having a Nerf gun battle yesterday.
They're so funny because they're so different, yet they're so funny together. It cracks me up.
I feel like they're so different, but they also have a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they had Nerf out their kitchen window or something?
No. In the office.
In the office. They could do it outside their kitchen window.
They could do it through the kitchen window too. Yeah. No, they definitely could. But no, there was there was a little Nerf war going on.
Funny.
I was just kind of in the middle of it. I didn't partake. You
didn't get one right here?
No, I didn't. Someone got pelted in the head, though. I think one of the other Pathfinder employees, I think. But everyone's okay. No one went to the hospital.
Good deal. Yeah.
But yeah, what other stories stick out in your mind, though?
Oh, I mean, good stuff.
I'm trying to think of something specific.
Helping people right now today. Hopefully on my phone. Let me check here if we've got anything. We're negotiating on a deal right now where I'm helping. I helped a grandfather and grandmother sell to move to Tennessee, and now I'm helping their grandson. So to do that generational thing, I mean, now, 40 years in the business, that it's happening a lot. It was, parent and then the child, and now we're onto the grandkids. So
yeah, so you're like, wow, how long have I been doing this now?
I'm so blessed, Jake. Yeah. I'm so blessed to do. I love to work. I love to work. I knew when I was in college, I did not know what I wanted to do. I did not think I wanted to go into real estate at the time because I would go to open houses with my mom and dad, and I'd sit in the car because I did not like going into the open houses.
Right?
Oh, and the real estate agent would say, "Oh, welcome, come on in. Now this is the kitchen." And I'd go, "Really? You're kidding. I would have never known. I thought I was in the master bathroom." So I knew what I didn't want to be like.
So instead of saying this is the kitchen, you find something unique about the kitchen that you can say first, right?
Well, yeah. If I don't know if both the, if there's a couple I'm working with, if they're both cookers, if they both like to cook, if I don't know that, I might ask that question. Yes. Do you both like to cook in the kitchen at the same time? Oh, look, this can afford you to be over here at the, the vegetable sink while you're doing it. So just to help people place themselves in there to see it, because sometimes it can be overwhelming. That's more where I would go. What works for you? It's all about you. It's all about you. I don't care that I like the blah, 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 but how do you like this Viking stove? Does this 6-burner stove work for you?
You need an 8 probably, don't you? You need 8 burners going. What is the biggest house that you've sold as far as price and even square footage?
Let's see. There's been one in Kankakee that was on the river that was a big one at the time because I helped both the buyer and the seller. So when you're in sales for real estate, you sell a $200,000 property to a buyer, then it's counted as sales to you of $400,000 because you count both sides.
Oh, I see.
So I help the seller sell, so I get $200,000 credit for that, and then help the buyer buy.
Dang. So that's how agents really rack up their numbers then.
Yeah, if they're working with both. So out of 10 sellers that I help, I might sell 2 out of 10. So usually I'm working with my other team members in the whole state of Illinois that are helping sell. That's what I call them, my team members. It's not really a team, so to speak, on the IRS form, but
No.
They just help me sell. So that's why it's healthy competition as well.
Sorry, go
So
ahead.
largest home, I don't know, 5,000. I don't have any crazy stories of that kind of thing.
Okay. I wasn't sure. What are some, factoids that you think people should know before they work with an agent, or any misconceptions that you always like to make sure that you address about real estate agents and things like that?
So I think it's good to just make your mind up after you visit with the agent. Sometimes people will just think I'm all in, but then they get with somebody and they're just not connecting. Like, I am fine if somebody meets with me and they just want to go a different direction. I'd rather know up front both ways. I'm there to help you. If you want help, I am all over it. All over it. I've gotten nicknames that I'm the three-way caller queen, because I'm about efficiency. I've gotten nicknames of being a bulldog because I will, just get on the phone. I'll call whoever. It doesn't matter to me.
When necessary.
When necessary, it's okay. I think that you see that when you meet with somebody first off. Are we connecting or not? This is a huge investment, selling or buying. You want to make sure that you're on the same page and the same team and like your team who's going to be helping you. I use that word order taker. I don't want to be an order taker. I don't want to work with somebody that's an order taker. When I go into Best Buy, I think I want this. Okay, here it is. But how about if you consider, what did you need that for? Oh, this might work out better. Yeah. If somebody says, I like 123 Main Street, I want to see it, I like it, I want to buy it, but that agent isn't asking what's really your goal, and golly, I'm in this business all the time, this one might work out better for that goal. That's what I want people to make sure that they're working with somebody that they trust and feel like they've got their best interest at hand.
So you always have kind of like a meeting or like a pre-meeting or a screening or whatever you want to call it before you, if it's someone new that you've never worked with before, you just want to see if you match.
Right. Yeah. I want them to feel confident. I mean, now with the market as hot as it is, Jake, and somebody sees a home that just came on the market and they heard about me through you or through whoever, and I'm helping them, I'll meet with them at the door and I'll say, this is how I work and this is what it is. And if this works, great, both ways. So we might still meet at the home, but a lot of times we'll meet in my office first. And I think that's not, everybody likes that.
That way there's not a rush. But sometimes you are in those situations where it is a rush situation.
Right.
So how does, I feel like a question that gets brought up a lot with people is, how does a agent get paid when like they're selling or buying a home? How does that work?
So we're independent contractors, and the brokerage company gets whatever commissions are earned, and then from there you get your split. So after the sale takes place, then I would get paid. There is an agreement between a seller and me to say, this is how much the commission will be for the sale of the home, and that can vary. It's not a set. Our company has policies, but it's not set amongst other companies. That would not be legal. You just you have to deal with your own company and what our company guidelines are. So we would charge a seller how much money it would cost. And then same with a buyer. There's a buyer agency as well. Used to only be paid by seller before, and now it can go both ways.
Yeah, I learned not too long ago that it's starting to be where a buyer will have to pay.
Not have to. There's still going to be plenty of sellers that will just say, I want my home sold and I'm willing to pay whoever it is that sells at this amount of money.
Okay.
And that will that change as time goes on? I don't know. But we've had the ability to have buyers pay for many years, and it's getting a little bit more out there now. I see. But it still isn't happening so much.
It's not a big trend at this point.
Not that much.
But once in a while it happens to where the seller is like, the seller says, I want the buyer to pay a percentage of your commission. So that way.
Yeah. Yeah, but a lot of times buyers don't have the money.
No.
So then they don't get their home sold.
Right. So, exactly.
In commercial business, that's the way it's been, I think, very commonly, that a buyer hires an agent and they hire them and they pay them.
Yes.
To find me a commercial spot for whatever.
Yeah, that's true. It kind of works the other way around in a commercial sense, doesn't it?
Right.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
And you are just strictly homes.
Not strictly, but mostly.
Sometimes you'll dabble in commercial.
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit here and there.
That's good to know.
Yeah, especially for previous clients that know how I work. So then we'll help that way too.
Yeah.
But
what are some things that have recently changed that you are in big favor of? Is there anything recently that's kind of been changing that you're just like, I love?
Pre-buyer home inspections that a seller pays for. Love it. So it's out of the box, completely untraditional, out of the box thinking. What it is the seller, when we put their home on the market, I say, would you like to do a home inspection before we put it on the market? That way we're going to know what your product really is from attic to basement. I see what I see here, but a home inspector is going to be in your home looking, unscrewing the electric panel, looking underneath your sink, running the toilet, running the tub, looking in the attic, they might get on the roof or do a drone on the roof to see what that looks like. And you may have somebody that you know that can fix some stuff. You might be able to fix some stuff yourself. Or maybe you say, no, I don't have any money. I'm not going to fix anything. That's okay. That's okay. Either way, any way it goes, it's all right. It's just that we're going to know the product and then we can price it accordingly. So sellers are so happy with that because a lot of times when we do it, you might know how to fix something. It's your own home. You don't have to be licensed to fix something necessarily on your home. So you might fix it and a buyer might come in and say, oh, the seller fixed it? Well, I want to make sure it's right. Sure, go for it. You can have whoever you want look at it. We're proud of our work, but you've saved money because you've done it yourself, right? If we do it the traditional way and we wait until the home is on the market and we think that we're pricing it right at $200,000 and then a buyer comes in and they do their inspection and then you get the 18 items.
Yes, the laundry list.
The laundry list. Right.
Yes.
Right. Now the buyer already has the home under contract. You don't want to lose them as a buyer or else your 123 Main Street is back on the market and there's all of a sudden a red flag against that address. What's wrong with that? Did the home inspection fail? You don't want to lose a buyer. So the buyer might throw up 12 items that they want fixed out of the 18 and see what sticks. And you're like, I don't want to lose a buyer. Okay. Let's, but this way, if you do it ahead of time, still have those 18 items, but maybe you decide to fix 7 of them and a buyer writes an offer and then they say, okay, my offer stands now that I've looked at the home inspection, except for I want you to fix number 11 and number 14 as well. Now, at least you know what you're negotiating before you actually sign a contract.
Yes.
Way better. Because you could say, no, I'm not going to fix 14, but I'll fix number 11. Do we have a buyer or don't we? Now at least you know. Or they'll say, how about if you fix 14 and I'll pay an extra $500? Or you say, how about if I don't fix it and I'll take $500 less? All the negotiating is happening beforehand, 90% of the time.
Or you can, if you do that inspection before you sell, you can hopefully make it to where the negotiations aren't as all over the place, or hopefully the negotiations will be much easier,
right?
Or maybe you won't have any, but if you do, hopefully it's much simpler.
That's the goal. That's the goal, and buyers usually like it. If you came in and saw a pre-buyer home inspection from a company like SLS Home Inspection, Scott Seaton and Luke, they do probably 80% of the. Did mine.
They
did yours.
And they Scott supports this podcast, so he's a great guy.
Good.
He's going to be on the podcast soon, actually.
Okay, good.
Some of the stories I've heard him tell are pretty interesting.
Yeah, so that's what he's seen. Yeah,
I was like, you have to come onto the podcast to tell me these stories, or tell everyone these stories, because my gosh. But no, so I had them do 2 home inspections. I think Luke did both of them.
Okay.
And great job.
Yeah. Very thorough.
Head to yes.
Very thorough. Probably 35 pages long, is a normal.
Yeah.
And, they're in the house and they're checking everything out. So that is number one, like what I'm all about these days now.
And I mean, home inspections don't cost. I don't remember it being too costly.
No, the typical is probably $450.
Yeah.
It's based a lot of times on location or size or age.
Right.
Of the home.
Yes.
So,
or the size of it too. Right.
Size, age, and location. Yeah. If Scott and Luke have to travel an hour to get there, you're going to pay a couple bucks more, Yeah. So those work, and buyers appreciate it. Sellers appreciate it. You can close a lot faster if the buyer isn't going to do another home inspection. But even if they do another home inspection, you're pretty much negotiating the same thing that you would have anyway. So love it. Yeah, it brings down the anxiety on all parts, because buyers want to know, do I have this house or not? Should I pay for my appraisal? Because I want to know if I'm getting this house, and I don't know until I get my home inspection done. And then should we pack or should we not pack? Everyone's got those types of issues. So speeding up whatever can be done prior to the negotiating is very helpful for everybody. So I love that.
Well, since we're kind of on like helpful tidbits, what are some other things that are very helpful, whether you're buying or selling a home, that you frequently tell people? Working with a lender that we know and trust for a buyer. So you can get an online, congratulations, you're pre-approved. Now go out and look at a home. Oh, really? Like, did they know that you have this going on or that going on? No, I just filled out a form. Like, you need to sit and talk with somebody that's local here. They're going to hear your story. If you can do it now, fantastic. But if it's going to take you to clear this up or that up, I'd rather you know now than get involved in buying a home, think you're going to buy a home, and then get denied your loan. So I want you to work with somebody that you can know and trust for the lender. In your experience, some of those online lenders that you've worked with your clients, they have the pre-approval, but the online lender didn't do a thorough enough screening on their financials. Yeah. Or they didn't give enough for the buyer to know what my closing costs really will be with that lender. So, yay, I get in for a 6.2 instead of a 6.6. Really? What are your costs to get that 6.2 interest rate? So they might not, the buyer might just think that this advertising is great, that low rate, but then they might not know all the details of what it really is. So I love working with people that I've known and trust from the past, because if I call them and say, how is Jake doing with getting his loan? Do you see any red flags? I'm going to hear it. I'm going to hear. You're going to know what it is. And that's important for you to know too, obviously. Everybody. Right. Yeah. Right. And the seller doesn't know if they need to start packing. And I mean, I don't know what the situation was, but I know a home that's on the market right now in Bourbonnais that just came back on the market just yesterday. It was with another agent.
got under contract. The day before closing, sellers moved out. The buyer had a gift letter and never got the gift funds.
Oh, no.
Came back on the market. On the market, off the market. Was it a bad home inspection? I don't know. On the market again, off the market. Switched agents. On the market, under contract. Yesterday just came back on the market again.
Oh, my gosh.
It's like, holy smoke, these poor sellers. What's going on? I have no idea.
And I'm sure your reaction is stay away from that place if it gets offered to you?
Or is it... no, I would ask questions.
Yeah.
What has happened?
Yeah, what's going on?
I see on off. Did you have a bad home inspection? Was it disclosed? Did we price it right accordingly? Can I offer a contractor that can fix that issue? Some people don't know who to call. That's one of the things in my career of knowing good contractors. And sometimes I'll have them on the phone and I'll be like, hey, can you come to this house? And how did you get him to call you back? Oh my gosh, I've been on their list for 2 months and now they're coming tomorrow? Seriously? What kind of connections do you have? Well, sometimes I give them big jobs. Sometimes I give them little jobs. They just know they better respond no matter what I give them or else I won't give them the big jobs.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, the connections help a lot.
Using a local lender is important. And I suppose that's almost the same with even where you close and the title company you choose too, right?
We have 3 great. Actually, now a 4th one just came in too. Haven't worked with them so far, but yeah. But typically, you want to close wherever you're purchasing the property, whatever county it's in. So if you're buying in Will County, you'll probably close somewhere in Will County.
And why is that important in your opinion, and closing at a title company that's not, if you're buying in Kankakee County, but then you're closing all the way up in Cook,
Yeah. So if you were to buy in Kankakee County, I would strongly recommend having you or your attorney write in the contract that it needs to close in Kankakee County because the rates are way lower in Kankakee County.
The closing cost rates?
For the title company.
Okay.
The title company rates are way lower than Will or Cook County rates. Will and Cook County rates, where you might pay $700 here, you could pay $2,700 there. Way different. For title insurance, it's the same thing. You're getting title insurance, the same. Apples, but except for the cost is not. So, yeah, way different.
And do you need an attorney? When is it time to actually have an attorney involved in a selling or buying transaction?
Yeah. You don't have to have an attorney other than an attorney has to prepare a deed for you. I don't know if legally you could do a deed on your own. I've never had anybody do that. And a lot of times the title company will get an attorney to do that. So again, you don't have to, if you're selling a property, have an attorney. Do I recommend an attorney? Sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
I've heard different things from realtors over the years.
Yeah. Especially if the other side has an attorney, I recommend you having an attorney. You're going to have an attorney review period where the other side, typically that attorney will do some sort of a bullet point. Do you agree to these changes? Sometimes that can be scary for you to read stuff like that. That's the legalese that you're like, I don't know how to respond to this. But if you have an attorney, they can respond. I can't act as an attorney for you. I can't tell you how to respond to those letters. You either can do it on your own or you hire an attorney. So it's well worth it. Sometimes they might find something on a title work that we need their help to have their connections to get things figured out and put together and that kind of thing. So
what are some other helpful tips that you'd like to offer?
So we talked about the pre-buyer home inspection. We talked about working with a good lender, working with a good attorney. Again, all the contractors, we talked about that a little bit. I mean, the as I refer to the puzzle of putting all the pieces together to get your home sold or home bought, there's the vendors are good. Just to be aware of what's going on in the marketplace, what's going on in your neighborhood of where you want to buy, what's going on with Nucor and CSL and all the businesses how is that going to affect your real estate? Just to be knowledgeable on that, I think is helpful. Negotiating. So now we're getting into multiple offers that we've never seen as much as we've seen over the past 3 years in my whole 37 years. So
you've never seen as many offers as you're seeing now.
As many.
And they're very aggressive, right?
Very aggressive. Just yesterday, a buyer came in, conventional, 20% down, $5,000 over asking price, multiple offer situation. They didn't get it. So it's just, that's very, very common. So what do you want to do to make your offer look most appealing? I call it arrows for your quiver. Yeah. So what all do you want? What can you do to try to make your offer the best offer? Try to learn as much as we can from the seller. Do they have a specific closing date that doesn't really matter to you, but they need this date?
To them.
Yeah. So let's use that date. Do you need to have a home inspection done or not? You might just say, let me take my buddy through. Let's just look at the major stuff. I'm good with whatever little stuff comes out later. I want to peek in the attic to look at that. I want to go in the crawl space to look at that. I can make this offer without a home inspection. That could save the sellers. They're thinking time, thousands of dollars maybe, because you might find something and want to negotiate that could cause that renegotiation can of worms to open up.
Yes.
That's what they don't want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. What kind of earnest money are you going to give? You want to show the seller that you're serious. You're not going to earn that much money on your earnest money for the next 30 days anyway. So show them that you're interested. $5,000, $8,000, something hefty, so that they can see, whoa, this guy is serious. He's not going to wake up someday and say, this isn't the right house for me.
And earnest money is the money you put down when you put an offer in or a contract.
And say, I'm serious, I'm earnest.
Yeah.
I'm earnest about buying your home.
Right.
Subject to whatever is in the offer, subject to my financing going through. Do you have to make it subject to getting financing? Because
the earnest money, what is it? You can lose that. The buyer can lose that money.
So if you just woke up one day and said, I don't want to buy that house. I just saw another one come on the market. I want to get out of this deal. If you don't have a reason to get out of that deal, the seller might say, I don't want to give you that money back. Yes. And the money sits in an escrow account, typically with the agency that has the property on the market. And they cannot, by law, be the judge and say, oh, I really think this person should get it, seller. I really think this person should get it, buyer. No, they can't be the judge. It has to be mutually agreed upon by buyer and seller as to who gets the money. If it's split, it's split, as long as both buyer and seller agree. Otherwise, it sits there. And then the agency has to go to court to have the judge tell them who gets the money. But they can't be the judge. So that doesn't happen very often at all.
No, I was going to say, I don't think so. I think it's usually pretty plain on, it's like, okay, well, if I pull out this, the seller is going to get that money.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but you were talking about, putting down earnest money and then.
So the other arrows that you want.
Yeah, the other arrows that you want.
How strong is your financing? Sometimes the loan officer might call the listing agent, the agency that is working with the seller, and say, hey, if I've got the seller, hey Lisa, just wanted you to know I am the lender giving the pre-approval for Jake buying this home. And Jake is clean. He is good. He's a W-2 employee. I've seen his tax returns. He's already given me pay stubs. He's given me the most recent bank statements. He is good. Just, I know we're in a multiple offer situation, so you can be rest assured that we're going to get to closing if you pick Jake's offer. Nice to hear that. Something, whatever your strength is. So those are some of the tips for negotiating of how strong can your offer be in this multiple offer situation.
So it's not even always about offering the most money then,
no,
really?
Not always. No, I've created a spreadsheet now. So it's offer number 1, offer number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and on the side, purchase price, earnest money, type of financing, conventional, FHA, VA, cash, how much down payment, who is the lender, what Do they want a survey? Do they want a home inspection? Do they want a termite inspection? Do they want a home warranty? All these parts of the contract that you want all that, and another guy on their offer spreadsheet doesn't want any of that stuff, and they're offering $1,500 less, $2,000. What seller might say, this seems easier, even though I'm not getting as much money.
Yeah.
So,
And especially since, let's say you go with the offer with the most money.
Yeah.
And let's say it's a bad lending situation.
Right.
The whole
And you
thing,
don't go to closing.
Right. The whole thing falls
Boom.
through. You don't
Done.
close.
Right.
You're back on the market. And let's say you had to be in Texas by, a certain day. And now you can't sell your home to get to Texas. Or maybe like you have to go regardless, but you're going to have to come back to sell the house eventually, or,
Yeah.
Of course, it all depends on everyone's situation is different. And that's what,
Exactly.
Especially with your expertise, you've been in all those different situations at this point.
Right.
So, I mean, this has been fun, Lisa.
Thank you,
I don't know what else you want to, if there's anything else you want to.
I love Kankakee County. Just love it. I love what you're doing just to, expose different sectors and different businesses. It's nice.
Thank you.
I, grew up in Park Ridge. We're going full circle to kind of bring this to conclusion. After I went through the divorce, my family thought, you're coming home now, right? No, I'm not.
I'm rooted here now.
I like Kankakee County. I've lived in Limestone. I've lived in Bourbonnais. We live in the historic district in Kankakee. I love the people. And through my career, I've helped a lot of people, like Armstrong, for instance, with key executives that move around a lot. And they'll move from one plant to another and come back. And they'll say, just like I say, there's no place like Kankakee County. The people are so great. What I love is most people live and work here. So we've got a lot of people that volunteer here during their lunch break or whatever, because they're easy. You can do it. You can go to a meeting at 5:00 and get off work at 4:30 or whatever. People care about our community. And that's what I love. We have farming to the historic district, to the river, to the college, the university. That's one of the reasons why I picked to live here, is because of the diversity of what we have, both the geographic part, the education, the different kinds of businesses that we have. It's the best place. I love it.
I think we take that for granted.
Yeah.
I really do.
Especially if you were born and raised here. You don't get it as much as I do.
Yeah.
I saw the hustle and bustle up there, and I don't want that.
Yeah. I'm born and raised here, and it took me a while to realize just how lucky we are to have such a plethora of different things.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to be in a more urban atmosphere, you can do it. If you want to be in more of a rural atmosphere, you can do it.
You can do it.
No problem.
That's right.
I got that. Got that for you.
That's right. So thank you for doing this.
Yes,
I really appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to get in touch with you, of course, it's lisasanford.com.
It is. I
know you're on social too, Facebook and all that.
Cell phone, can I give that?
Yeah, absolutely.
815-922-6924.
Okay.
So
thank you,
Lisa. My daughters laugh at me. This is Lisa Sanford with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Speckman Realty. How may I help you? And my callback number is 815-922-6924. That's 815-922-6924. They laugh at me.
Maybe you should be in the voiceover business at this point.
No, I don't know about that. I'll keep my real job. And my volunteering. I love volunteering too. So, all right. Thank you. Appreciate it, Jake.
That concludes this episode of Kankakee Podcast. I'm Jake Lamore. Thank you so much for listening. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and follow us on social media at Kankakee Podcast. And special thank you to our Patreon subscriber, Teague Dreenan, for supporting the show each month. Join at patreon.com/Kankakee Podcast, and you too could hear your name on a future episode. Kankakee Podcast is owned and produced by the fine team at Pathfinder, a full-service marketing agency in Kankakee, Illinois. Learn more at yourpathfinder.io. Our theme song is by Lupe Carroll.
This river carries on.